Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make this delicious pasta dish. It's vegetarian. I don't know if there's an official name for this, but I got the recipe from my brother, and he called it spaghetti ratatouille. Anyway, the recipe is pretty simple. It has 2 eggplants, 3 zucchini, and 3 leeks. I have pre-washed these vegetables before, so we're simply now chopping them up, chopping them relatively small. I'm still cleaning up all the vegetables, striping the eggplants, and then we're going to dice them up very soon. So, um, if you prefer one vegetable or another, you can use more of it. I think in this recipe, the leeks and the eggplant really give the most of the flavor. Here I am showing you that the first eggplant had relatively large seeds. Typically, you don't want to see that. We're going to see now in that the second plant is actually much better. I wish both eggplants were like this, so you cannot really see distinguishably the seeds, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Um, anyway, I was saying that you can use more of one vegetable or the other depending on your preferences. For instance, you don't have to use zucchini if you don't want to. Um, that first zucchini that I used was relatively large, so I had to slice it vertically before I chopped it into small cubes. Here we're chopping up the leek, and as you can tell, I am chopping them up relatively thin. That's going to give more flavor in the dish. Uh, all right, we're finishing up chopping. That's all the chopping is for. So normally when I make this, I just ballpark, how much I'm using for the salt. But in order to give you guys a good recipe, I was trying to measure how much it would be, and I thought, well, let's start with the 1 tablespoon, and I put that in my hand, and I figured, well, no, it's still way too much. So at the end, I think what I have written is a 1.5 teaspoon of salt. I think that's about right. Of course, you can adjust the salt according to your like. So besides salt, Italian seasoning. From this angle, you cannot really tell how much I'm putting. It looks like I'm dumping the whole thing in there, but it's not. Again, adjust the amount of seasoning you're putting according to your like. And I like a bit of heat in the dish, so I'm putting some crushed red uh, peppers. And again, you can adjust that according to your liking. So at this point, you could put some garlic in here if you want to. That would give you a lot more flavor. Today, I'm not putting garlic. Um, and the most important actually ingredient for this dish is the oil. And it just looked like I just dumped the whole bottle in there, but the bottle was relatively empty right now anyway, so when I was pouring, it wasn't really coming out too much. If you're entertaining, especially if you got guests coming, you might want to just splurge on the oil a little bit. Um, you don't want it to put too much because it's just going to ooze out, but the more you put it in there, it's going to cook better in the oven. Anyway, now we're mixing all the chopped up vegetables. As you can tell, they're relatively small cubes, and in the case of the leek, they're relatively small slices. So this mixture is a bit too much to cook all in one go, so we're going to cook them uh, in halves. So I just about separated half of it and put it in that uh, tray, and it's going to eventually come down to like a single layer. Like we don't want vegetables piling up on top of each other so that they'll cook well. Um, yes, so I'm now taking this and put it in the oven, and I'll put it in the middle rack. It's cooking at 400 Fahrenheit. While our mixture is cooking in the oven, we're going to make the pasta. I always split my spaghetti in half, so you can also use any type of spaghetti or pasta that you like. In this case, this is actually just spaghetti. I personally like thin spaghetti, but thin spaghetti is not really available here in the UK. I don't know why, but it must be like a US thing. Okay, so we got the pasta cooking. I think it's been about 20 minutes that the vegetables have been cooking in the oven. So now I pulled it out and I'm kind of rotating it a bit, flipping them around so that they are cooked evenly on both sides. I'm doing my best effort to flip them around, and you can see I'm just going to shake the tray to again spread them evenly, and then I'm going to put them back in the oven. Alright, shaking it up. Okay, good layer, good even layer, and back in the oven. And in the meantime, our spaghetti is of course cooking. Alright, so that's how it looks about midway point. So we're going to let the vegetables cook for another 10 minutes, and that should be about ready then. The pasta is ready, so I'm going to now drain it. I'm not using a colander just because I don't want to clean it. Alright, so we're back. With the magic of editing, you saw that thing drain so quickly. Okay, so I'm making sure none of the pasta spaghetti is stuck together. At this point our vegetables are ready, at least the first batch. I am taking that out from the oven. Let's see. There it is. Alright, as you can tell, all the vegetables are soft to the touch. They're fully cooked. So that's the way you wanna cook it until they're really soft to the bite and touch. So now we're mixing it together, the first batch. And I'm doing that because if I let the spaghetti sit around, they're going to stick together. So now we're going to use the oil from the vegetable mix in this first batch to prevent the pasta from sticking together, sticking to each other. Alright, let's put that aside and let's start the second batch. Okay, so I am getting the rest of the mixture and putting that in the tray, and then we're going to throw that in the oven. Nothing goes to waste. Nice job. Alright, now let's shake that tray to create like a even uniform layer and throw that in the oven. Okay, so now let's mix it up so that the spaghetti doesn't stick to each other. At this point, you're going to see the ratio of the vegetables to the spaghetti is relatively low. So I would like to see more vegetables than the spaghetti. So you can use less pasta if you prefer, but remember that we also have that second batch that we're going to throw in here as well. Okay, so the purpose of us doing this is so that the spaghetti doesn't stick to each other. And I just hate when spaghetti sticks to each other. Alright, that already looks great. From this angle you cannot really tell much, especially with all the steam coming out towards the camera, but vegetables are nicely cooked and they're soft, and spaghetti has a shine to it from all the oil that it gathered from the vegetable, from ratatouille, really, from the way my brother says it, calls it. Okay, at this point our second batch is also cooked, is you can tell, I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but they're well cooked, and that's the way you want to have it before you put it in, mix it with your pasta. Okay, nice and slowly put the rest of the vegetable mix into the pasta, and if you prefer to, you can, serve it as like a pasta sauce kind of on top. You don't have to mix it with the rest of the pasta. I prefer to do it this way because then the rest of the pasta I can put it in the container and eat it for the next 2 days. That's about how long it would last. Alright, so now do a relatively good job of like spreading the vegetables among the pasta, so there's an even distribution. But at this point, this is ready to be consumed. Alright, let's plate it. Just talking about it makes me hungry again, and I'm gonna have seconds. That looks great. Enjoy.